What is up, Raider Nation? Your buddy Murf back once again for another episode of The Rundown. That's right, RFR Rundown. This is where we talk about the most pressing, the highest profile, best stories within Raider Nation every single week. And I don't do this show alone. I do it with my best friend in the whole world, and he is Swag Jeff.
Yeah. What's up, my brother?
What's up, Swaggo?
Man.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah. Doing a whole lot of nothing. Quarantine, buddy.
Quarantining, man.
Yeah, man.
But you are essential service, and so thank you for going to work every day.
Well, yeah. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's my pleasure.
Good.
I'm just doing my part for America.
There you go. Hey, America. We got to do it, man. We got to do it. That's right. So, those of you that are in essential service, those of you that are even in much more consequential businesses than what Swag and I do, thank you so much for what you're doing. All of you frontline workers, healthcare, first responders, all of you, man, the absolute real life heroes and rock stars. So thank you all so much.
Yes, and everyone that owns a sewing machine that's making masks.
Yes, like your wife.
Like my wife. My wife is a saint, and she has made like 100+ masks for people.
Oh, that's so awesome,
Yeah,
man.
she's pumping
Right
them out.
on.
And so is a lot of other people. I see a lot of people doing their part, chipping in for the people that do have to go to work every day. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Right on. Well, hey, so speaking of rock stars around here. So, I started this show. Once upon a time, it was a Madden show, and you can hear the whole history of Raiders Fan Radio on the last episode of the Raider Cody podcast.
Hey.
Then where I kind of tell the story of Murf's Fan Cave and this whole RFR thing. But anyways, it started with my cousin Sonny. So, Sonny, you got to meet this last year when we went to the Raider game together. And Sonny, although he's not much in the Raiders podcast game, still does a podcast every week in his current field of work, which is drug and alcohol addictions as a counselor. And so anyways, but Sonny doesn't do Raiders podcasting, but every once in a while, we'll hear from Cousin Sonny.
Absolutely.
And he's going to join us tonight on the Rundown. So I'm going to hit the button here, and we're going to call Cousin Sonny and bring him in here for the Rundown. This is the riveting part of the radio show. We're calling people. Here we go.
Welcome in, 95.5. Smooth sounds of the 70s, like water dripping off Ron Burgundy's back on a cool San Diego night. What's going on?
Am I caller 7?
You are caller 69, bro. Let's get it!
What's up, Sonny?
Not much, boys.
What's going on, man? Good to have you here. We just gave you the proper intro here for the RFR Rundown, and look forward to catching up with you, man. Raider Nation, we get asked about you all the time still about what Sonny think about this, what Sonny think about that, and so we're gonna get your opinion on some hot Raider topics in here.
Hot Raider topics. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. So let's just jump right into it from the get. Sonny, the NFL announced their all-decade team for the 2000s. For the 2010s, which I hate that there's not like a cool way to refer to these decades anymore. I liked it when it used to be the 60s or the 70s or the 80s.
Right.
How do you find the 2010s?
It's just the 10s, right? I guess the new 10s. I don't know. But anyway, so they released the all-decade team for the 2010s. So Sonny and Jeff, we'll start with Sonny though. Sonny, how many Raiders do you think made the all-decade team?
Okay, but that's a trick question. How many original Raiders or how many people that passed through the Raiders? Because it's a different category all of itself.
All right, then let's start with just had worn the uniform.
Just to have worn the uniform?
Yes.
Well, Randy Moss probably made it. Marshall Lynch probably made it. Trying to think of anyone else that passed through. I would say two at least. Two guaranteed, those two guys.
Two at least. All right, Swaggo, what do you think?
Khalil Mack's on that list.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him, Swag.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on the list. I would say Charles Woodson's probably on that list.
Okay. All right, you guys are not far off.
Okay.
All right, so here's what we got. There are 3 Raiders. Now, so Sonny, to clarify on your kind of your standard there are 2 guys that were more pass-throughs, and then there was one guy that was
Antonio Brown.
No, I didn't even. But you know what?
We don't say those words on this show,
that makes
Sonny.
that makes it 4.
Right. I didn't mean to cuss.
Well,
how can you say Khalil Mack, but you can't say Antonio Brown? Khalil Mack did the Raiders worst, if you ask me.
Well, but Khalil Mack actually was a Raider. Antonio Brown just showed up for a training camp one time and pissed everybody off. So, all right.
And cost me money.
hey, but which is the more Raider thing to do? Antonio Brown.
I don't know, man. Screw that guy. All right, so here's what we got. So we got Antonio Brown on offense, and then Marshawn. Those are your two guys on offense. And I would say Marshawn, out of the pass-throughs, was the most Raider of any of these guys. So you got there. You nailed Khalil Mack. As an outside linebacker, he goes in. All right, so there's your three that are on offense and defense. But here's my favorite one. They also gave out special teams, all-decade teams. So the kickers and the punters. Any guess on who Sonny would be on that list that had worn silver and black?
Well, Leckler.
There you go. Boom. Shane Leckler.
There you go.
Yeah. Absolutely. The going to be the second punter in the NFL Hall of Fame that's wore a Raider jersey. So pretty cool stuff there. No big surprise. Like not a lot of Raidery things going on there because it's been a long time. Like
yeah.
It's been rough.
I am surprised that Charles Woodson isn't on that list though.
Well, it's the 2010s, right? So he was a defensive player of the year in there in the early part of the decade, but then really kind of struggled his latter years in Green Bay. And then when he came to the Raiders, he switched to safety. And although he played great for us, he wasn't like an all-pro. I don't think.
Yeah, you're right.
Was he an all-pro? I don't even remember. Do you, Sonny?
No, but that was like a swan song, Woodson did his damage when he was first with the Raiders. By the time he came back, it was like just cool to see him back, It wasn't like he was in there doing too great. But I want to say he made all-pro one year, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, I feel like he did. I feel like you're right. There probably was an all-pro season in there. It felt like him and Carr went or something like that.
Yeah.
Because remember, for the longest time, it was like Leckler and Janikowski, and occasionally Marcel Reese would show up.
Do you remember, Josh? I don't know if you remember this. Remember they were doing a Madden vote cover for the Madden cover, and they had to pick all pros. And when it came to the Raiders, it was like Leckler and Janikowski versus everybody's running back and wide receiver and quarterback and stuff. It was just like, this is pathetic.
It was like Calvin Johnson and Leckler.
Yeah.
So, wait a minute, man.
Hey, Woodson made the Pro Bowl in 2015 for the Raiders.
All right, there you go. Good call. All right, next up, so we got another story here. Let's get into the Raiders themselves, and in terms of logistics of the new stadium. So, Sonny, have you seen the pictures here lately of Allegiant Stadium? It's looking gorgeous. They got the flyovers going on and all that. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it in the last 26 minutes. But if anything's changed since then, I know they just completed the roof, I think, as of yesterday. And I'm just wondering when the thing's going to open with this coronavirus thing.
Yeah, it's kind of funky. So the Raiders are preparing for a delay there. So Swaggo, if the Raiders have a delay in the construction because of the virus, because they're not able to finish the interiors of it, because you figure, like as Sonny mentioned, they got the roof on. So now they're at the portion where they're doing like the concession stands and the offices and the bathrooms. And you got a bunch of dudes in there, hanging drywall. Like you can't be in that close proximity to one another.
Yes.
So it might add some significant delays now. So if that's the case, the Raiders have some options in order to, we'll see how preseason looks to begin with. But what are some of the things that are on the table for the Raiders should the construction delays come into effect?
Yeah, well, we talked about it last week because there was at one time an option for there to be another last ride in Oakland.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be maybe a chance of one more. Well, they've shut that down. They've shut all things down in Alameda. They're done there, done in Oakland. And now there are options for them to play in Salt Lake City, Phoenix, San Diego. I think last year we talked about if the Oakland thing didn't work out last year, they might play some games in Birmingham, which would be pretty epic because that's close to you and me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's other options. They could go play at a beat up Qualcomm Stadium or something like that.
Sonny, which one is the most Raidery out of those?
Well, I thought there was an El Paso option, too. I read that yesterday.
A what option?
Playing in El Paso.
Oh, really? No, okay. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I read that yesterday. The most Raider option would be to play at Qualcomm and just shove it to the freaking Nomad Chargers and fill out the stadium, something the Chargers could never do. That'd be the most Raider thing to do, but I don't know. It's too hard to predict in the future. Salt Lake City, that makes no sense whatsoever. El Paso would be kind of cool. But it just sucks that we're still talking about this, man. Like, how many freaking years do we got to still going, where the Raiders going to play next year? Like, we finally got this beautiful stadium, and then the coronavirus hits, right? Like, even the coronavirus is against the Raiders. Like, you freaking can't get your break. Freak that, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know, right? It's like we can't have nice things.
No, dude, like what are the odds? Oh, when has anything ever shut down football like this? Give me a break.
Oh, I know, right? Let alone the world, but I mean, the biggest, most marketed sporting league in the, obviously maybe not the world, but certainly our country. And yeah, man, it's ground to a halt. And so, of course, so the closest thing in terms of the calendar is the draft, right? So it's shut down the draft, which really sucks. Again, the whole world's against us because it was going to be in Las Vegas. It was going to be a super Raider-centric draft. Everybody was making plans. It was going to be an absolute beautiful event. But this happens, and so not only did the fan portion of it, in terms of our attendance, get shut down, but really everything's going to be done virtually now because people can't leave their freaking houses, and if it's not fair for one team, it's not going to be fair for any team. So if you have the New York teams that are under stricter guidelines than the Texas teams or whoever else, well, they're going to have to follow the guidelines of the New York teams because everyone has to be held to the exact same standard. So in terms of the way the draft is going to be done this year, it's going to look a lot different. We're going to have Roger Goodell announcing the first round picks from his freaking house. And so Swaggo, what do you got on that as far as how we're going to kick this thing off?
So he's going to be in front of a screen, hopefully not in his, in his underwear, but
at least not from the waist up.
Yeah, from the waist down. Yeah.
Sonny, you've been known to do a show like that once in a while, haven't you?
Oh, like what?
With your underwear, where you're just in your skivvies from the waist down, but then from the waist up.
That's not the norm.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to change.
Yeah.
That's standard for you.
But apparently they are going to be they're going to be putting some virtual fans like behind him or as a backdrop or something like that, so every fan can still boo him virtually from his own basement.
Are they really?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. And so are they going to do the national anthem?
Yeah, they're going to do that. Also, they haven't announced who they're going to do it yet, and I'm sure some famous pop star or something like that, they'll do it. But yeah, it'll be from his or her house.
Hopefully it won't be that Wonder Woman with the. Did you see her singing?
Who?
Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot.
She sings?
Yeah,
Who?
well, she sang, the girl that plays Wonder Woman, Sonny, she sang on an Instagram thing. She sang like some John Lennon song, and all these other like celebrities join in with her, like all this like self-righteous,
when
pompous
the celebrities try to relate to us, and they're all stuck at the home in their mansions, and we're stuck at home in our regular houses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, highly relatable, right? What does Will Ferrell know? Like, give me a break. Anyway, so so hopefully it's not her. Hopefully it'll be somebody cool. So in terms of NFL HQ, so each year the NFL's VP of player personnel is basically at the head of the table of the draft. He's on site. He's supervising the mechanics of the draft, accepts, confirms trades. He's kind of like the guy that everything passes through. Well, that guy's going to be at home too. So that's going to be really interesting on how the connectivity works to get, because a lot of this stuff comes down to the wire, right? So it's going to be very interesting how connected all the teams are and how this stuff kind of funnels through the VP of player personnel. So the draftees themselves will be in their homes, clearly, as the rest of us will be. And, one of the funner scenes of a draft for players that aren't in attendance is you see them like with housefuls of people, right? Their families and friends, and everybody's getting together. It's a big celebration and a big party. And they don't get to do any of that this year. They're going to be asked to be limited to only 6 people in the house, or basically on camera. And the league is really limiting to like 58 players that they're even going to feature. Sonny, what do you think? How, obviously this is one of the biggest, culminations of moments for these kids and I call them kids, young men that are starting their NFL career. Is someone that's kind of an expert on behavioral health and all that kind of stuff. What does that mean? Can it still mean the same moment to them? Like, is it the experience, or is it just the fact that they're getting drafted, period? Or is there going to be any kind of because it feels like everyone's giving up something, and these guys have worked their entire lives for this moment. It's like, is it still going to have the same resonance, do you think?
I think it's kind of like a kid graduating high school right now. He's going to graduate high school, but the actual experience of walking across the stage, getting handed his diploma, hearing people cheer for him, that culmination effect is going to be gone. And I think it's going to happen for a lot of you guys who are drafted, and we're experiencing that. I think a lot of people across the country are experiencing that. With the human element has been taken out of the equation for a lot of us. So I'm working as a counselor. I'm calling people every day. I'm having conversations with people. A couple things are happening. One, I am far more drained at the end of the day because I'm not getting the human aspect of my day. So it's hard to be on the phone all day talking to people. But I think when you're face to face, you get a reward from that. There's a human connection reward you get, I think, when you meet with somebody, you feel their vibe, you get their vibe, you get who they are as a person, the smile, the warm vibes, whatever that comes off people. We interact with that. People are energy and stuff like that, So you get energized through your interaction with people. And when it's all done virtually, that energy is missing, I think. And so for a lot of these guys, I think it's a big disappointment. If you're drafted number 1 overall, part of the hype about that is being drafted number 1 overall in front of everybody and hearing the cheers, hearing the jeers, people and stuff like that. So like when Joe Burrow goes to Cincy, it's going to be kind of boring to a certain degree, And so I think that kind of stinks a little bit. But that said, you're still going to the league, you're still going to the NFL and stuff like that. So all things considered, it's still going to work out the way I had hoped. It's just the actual experience of it is going to be missing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the lasting effects, Annie? You think it's going to drive guys to motivate them to show, why they were drafted first overall?
No, I don't think there'll be any long-lasting stuff from this. It's not, it's not traumatizing. They're still going to the NFL and stuff like that.
Not even a little T, Sonny? Not even the smallest of T?
Depends on how they do. Depends on how they process it. Two people can go through the same experience, and one has trauma from it, one doesn't. So, it just depends on the person, so to say.
That's true.
At the end of the day, these guys get drafted and all that stuff. And kind of like what you and I say, Murf, when we're talking about people that we work with and stuff like that, and sometimes not getting praise all the time. But at the end of the day, okay, just pay me.
Just pay me. Yeah.
Just pay me. I'll do my job. So, at the end of the day, I think it'll still be business as usual. It's a bummer.
Here's my biggest question. Who is going to help Will Brown connect his Zoom call to announce the draft pick for the Raiders? Because I love Willie Brown, but does he have the capability to do that?
Sonny, Willie Brown died.
Oh, it's a long time since I've been on the show. I should probably no.
You got to take notes, dude.
I'm just kidding. Only kidding.
We would need some magic power to get.
Hey, you need to.
But I did.
We just had Easter.
But I did read her. That was a good joke, huh?
Stop.
But I did read a report about Mayock. Did you guys hear this about Mayock? How Mayock might have the upper hand here because for the last 20 years, this guy has been basically doing his research on draft prospects virtually. And he's gotten used to doing this via conference calls and the like, where other GMs haven't had this. And so he might have a unique advantage about sizing these people up via Zoom and via conference calls and stuff like that versus other GMs. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I love that idea. And in fact, that was one of the things we were going to talk about is the connectivity about how, each team will have choices. They're going to have different types of video conferences and whatnot. But yeah, when you hear what Mayock is talking about how this is like right in his wheelhouse in terms of how he's kind of gone about it historically, like when he was, working for the NFL Network and this is not that big of a departure for him as it is for some of the other GMs. That's an absolute a great point. And, because again, the other GMs aren't going to function in that way. What is going to be interesting is like when they get into like trading, as I mentioned, the how they're going to pass information along to, to not only to the league itself, but other GMs. That's going to be pretty wild in terms of how those connections go. Cause you don't have the benefit of, 19 phone lines running into a facility like you would, wherever. I'm with you, Sonny. I think overall the Raiders are going to have an advantage, considering Mike Mayock's track record. And Jeff, anything else on the logistics of the draft before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the way picks are actually going to go, it's going to be the same thing: 10 minutes for your first round pick, 7 for your second and third, and 5 for 4 and 5. But really, the biggest factor that I saw in this that was interesting to me is they're really relying on strength of their Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're right.
Because it would be a major bummer if they dropped their service when it was time for them to pick.
Can you imagine?
In the third round, we saw.
At that point, is it just like a fantasy draft and you go on auto draft and just grab the best player available?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, so next thing you know, we end up with a quarterback or something of 19. Be like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's too funny. All right, so a couple more here to get to before we close this thing out. Before we go, though, we want to definitely check in with you, Sonny, and hear what you've been up to. So there's a virtual offseason program that the Raiders have started this week. This is going to be interesting. So, with all the uncertainty and restrictions from freaking the coronavirus, the NFL devised a plan to conduct this basically voluntary offseason program. It's going to be, completely out of the norm from anything that they've ever done historically. But basically, you're talking about connecting players and coaches. You're going to have Zoom meetings, I would assume, with your different position groups and whatnot. The teams are going to allow for first-year coaches to get a week head start, just like they would in a regular kind of camp situation. And then after that, then they'll move into everybody. So it's looking like middle May. Swag, is that what you got for when the Raiders start?
Yeah, it'd be May 15th exactly. So
there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the only thing that's a bummer with this is that the guys that we currently have on the team, they kind of know how things go and all that stuff. But we were very busy in free agency, and I still don't think we're done. But it's going to be tough for those guys coming in.
Absolutely, yeah, it is going to be tough for them. It's there's a lot to learn, right? And that's where you got guys like Witten and guys like that are going to be good transfers of knowledge.
Yes,
basically on-field coaches. Well, when they're not on the field, then that's definitely going to be a challenge. All right, so I know we only got you for
but another thing too about that is how motivated are you guys to work out at home when no one's watching?
I don't know, man. You know what? I would speak for myself. I've actually been pretty motivated. I'm obviously, I've made going to the gym, and listen, I'm no NFL athlete. I'm not trying to draw any kind of comparison here. But what I am saying, though, is that the routine of going and working out has become a very essential part of my life. And now
go somewhere to work out, though.
Yeah, but now that I can't, now I have a bunch of workout equipment at home. Okay, and I'm still working out as frequently, different workouts, but I'm still working out as frequently. How about you, Jeff? Tell us about all your
so for normal
regimen.
people like Sonny and I, we're just sitting around getting fat.
Okay, calm yourself, Jeff. I was on my bike at 5:45 a.m. this morning while you were still dreaming of eating donuts.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing I'm curious about is, a lot of these NFL guys, they kind of let loose a little bit. They have a twink or two in the off season, and they depend on OTAs and all that to get back in shape and get ready for the NFL season. How many of these guys that maybe struggle with weight or struggle with motivation to work out or only, really kind of hit that gear once around all their teammates, there's hooting and hollering, yelling going on, how many of them are going to struggle and show up to camp maybe out of shape and stuff like that? I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well.
I agree with you, and I think that interesting, too, is that I think depending on what the offseason looks like, quality of play, we've already seen quality of play kind of suffer with the new rules in the CBA where they can't practice nearly as much. So we're going to see an issue with quality of play, probably going to see an issue with injuries because they're not going to be able to train like they normally would, like what you're saying, Sonny. They're not going to have the world's best trainers that they're working with day in, day out. And so, I think that we're going to see definitely some ramifications of this, even if because one way or the other, it sounds like they're going to play. Even if they play to an empty stadium, they're going to play. Sonny, let me ask you this. Swago and I were just talking before the show about how it feels as a football fan, as much as we love going to the games, there's almost an equal enjoyable experience watching the games on HD at home.
100%.
So if the NFL goes to games in empty stadiums, does that affect your viewing at all?
My personal viewing?
Yeah.
No, because you're still going to watch it. I just, again, it's all wonder at this point, but how amped are you to get up for a game and you're not in front of people and stuff, and how much fourth quarter comebacks have come because of the fans' involvement in the stadiums and stuff, and how many of those would have happened or wouldn't have happened if the fans were moved, and so I just wonder how an empty stadium is going to alter the actual play and gameplay and the get up and the juice running through players' veins and stuff like that,
Well, I don't know. The Chargers have been playing in front of empty stadiums for years, so I mean,
and look what's happened to them.
Look what's happening to them.
Yeah,
but I'm with you. It's the dynamic's definitely going to be way different. The good news is that it's going to be equal for everybody. Everyone's under the same circumstances. But as far as like,
actually, no, it's false. The Chargers have gotten used to it, bro. The Chargers are going to have to end. Yeah. This might be their year, bro.
This is going to be their year. Phillip Rivers is taking the Colts to the freaking to the Super Bowl this year because he's totally used to playing in front of nobody. But yeah, like,
9 kids. Just like 9 kids in tow. Look at the biggest audience there we go.
Yeah, if he's allowed to bring family, he's going to break the freaking the social distancing rules just by having his family attend the games.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about, I think back to, like, the games this last year, Sonny, where it was, like, the Thursday night game against the Chargers. Speaking of them, we're picking off Phillip Rivers, pick sixes. Like, I was telling Jeff, like, I had just as much fun on my couch, texting back and forth with you guys. We're sending pictures of what we're drinking and what everybody's hanging out. And they're like, it was still communal. Like, it was still fun. And like, when you go to a game, even though, like, all those things you were talking about earlier, the face-to-face, Sonny, and how important that is, and getting to see our old friends and people that we only get to see a couple times a year, and, like, reconnecting, and, like, as beautiful as Raider Nation is to connect like that, I don't enjoy watching the game nearly as much because there's so much going on that sometimes I feel like I can't lock into what the action is on the field, where when I'm at home, it's the complete opposite. I'm totally locked in.
Yes. It's the same equivalent as, like, watching at a bar versus watching at your house. The bar is all about the people around you hanging out and having fun, and you're lucky if you remember past the second quarter, right? Whereas home, you get to relax. You're in your radio show attire, and enjoy a beverage or two and enjoy your favorite food. But you get to lock into the game and really dive into the analytics of the game and watch replays and all that kind of stuff, And then you add in the social media element, the group text element, and all that, and so you almost get the best of both worlds. But it's a different experience for sure. And honestly, because we only go to one a year for lucky, it's not going to change that much. I was really hoping to go to Vegas this year, and with all my Trump bucks now, was hoping maybe to go to the first game this year. But I don't know what's going to happen, man. Like, it's all, what the heck? It's crazy.
I know, man. It's like, so we don't have to be at work, or at least work differently now. It's not hard to get vacation time, at least not on my job. And we just got a bunch of free money, and they closed Vegas. Like, damn it.
Like, all right.
Like crap. Like, you know what I mean? Of all the freaking timing, So, but hey, before we get out of here for the night, though, Sonny, we hadn't talked to you in a long time. Raider Nation loves to hear from you. Tell me about kind of your before we get into you and what you've been up to. Tell us what you think about the Raiders offseason as a whole, free agents, what they look like going into the draft, like all that good stuff. What are you thinking?
Well, I just learned out that Willie Brown died, so I'm still in shock from that.
Jeez.
I'm trying to grasp that concept. I met Willie Brown, Josh. You were there, remember?
I took a picture of you and Willie Brown. You guys were like,
why didn't you tell me you passed? No, I'm kidding. Hey, but honestly, this off season we loaded up on a couple different areas. I'm excited about the defense, but the most exciting thing that happened is bringing in Mariota. Because the problem is Carr has not been challenged in my mind. Carr has had the job. He hasn't really had to try. It's been his team, blah, 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 blah. And I like Derek Carr. Seems like a nice guy. But he needs to be encouraged a little bit. And I think bringing in Mariota, this is now his second team. I watched Mariota all through college at Oregon, and all that he did was win. He was a stud. And so I don't know if it was the Tennessee fit thing to say. I mean, he was in your backyard, so you could probably speak better than that. I'm sure you guys have already hashed this over and over. But I just love the fact that they brought in not just a backup quarterback, but a guy with a name, a guy that can, I think, push Derek Carr and hopefully finally have some real competition at the quarterback spot. Because honestly, something needs to happen. If he wins a playoff game, or Carr needs to go. And something needs to happen there. So that's what I'm most excited about, to be honest with you guys.
Right on. Yeah, we've had a lot of, in fact, Swaggo and I have caught some heat on social media and whatnot because we've talked so much about it. And, people have accused us of being Mariota honks and like, oh, you guys are rooting for him because you live in Tennessee. And it's not the case at all. The case of it is that I agree with you, Sonny, that Derek Carr needs to be pushed, and because we all need that at times. And when you know, people find, I understand he's a professional athlete. I understand he pulls $25 million a year. I get it that he's got all the motivating factors he should need. But the bottom line, though, is that he's still a freaking human being. And we can all find complacency in things that we do. And sometimes we need things to help motivate us. And having somebody right behind you wanting your damn job, don't you think that will drive him? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And to us, it doesn't matter if it was Marcus Mariota or Case freaking Keenum. The whole idea of just having somebody there to help motivate and drive Derek to hopefully return to 2016 version of Derek Carr. What's wrong with that? Like, that's not
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right?
Nothing wrong with that at all. And honestly, that's how you should be a Raiders fan. You should be rooting for the best possible person on the field. The person is irrelevant. You want the best person on the field. The name of the person is irrelevant. You want the best player on the field in that position. If it's Mariota, great. Then Mariota is my favorite quarterback in the league. If it's Carr, great. Then Carr's still my favorite quarterback in the league. But the Carr needed to be pushed in a positive direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, I know we're about out of time with you. So before we let you run, Sonny, give us an update, man. What you been up to?
Well, right now, I'm mourning the loss of Willie Brown. I'm still baffled by that. Outside of that, which I can't even wrap my mind around anything else right now, I discovered Trulies. I didn't know Trulies were so good. Mango lemonade is the best one so far.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're having another kid, and I found that out 2 months before a certain surgery to prevent from having kids, so that's exciting. And took our counseling program online. That's been pretty entertaining. If you want to follow that, look up BRS Studios on Instagram. And still making music for kids, still making a lot of beats and stuff like that, and kids will come in. We're making a bunch of music there. Mostly it's rap music and stuff like that. I'm kind of the white Dr. Dre of the mental health beat-making world.
Oh, nice.
That world's pretty small, but that's who I am in that realm, so it's kind of fun.
It's like you and like three other dudes.
Well, I'm the only one so far, but so that's pretty cool. Me and my buddy TJ, we do a podcast called the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast, where we talk a lot about working with fringe kids and the society of the fringes of society, and just how hard it is to connect with them and stuff like that. And man, just keep them busy and loving life. It's good stuff.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you. And it's BRS Studios. Check that out. And then also check out the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast. And hey, tell Swaggo what you did with the gaming, man. This is pretty innovative. So in this time when we're still all looking for ways to stay connected, and thank goodness we have technology at our disposal. But you're working with at-risk kids. You're working with kids that are having substance abuse challenges and domestic challenges, and you're still wanting to maintain that connection. Tell Swag what you did with the whole gaming aspect of it. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So basically two parts. One, I took the beat making program online. So now we'll connect via online video conference, and so I'll make beats for them. They listen to them live, and we'll kind of have like a impromptu, studio session live. So I did that, and they basically took that and did that with the game as well. And so I'll call a kid up on the phone, and we'll play games. We'll play Fortnite, use the common game play, or some sports games, and we'll do our session while we're playing a game. And
nice.
Josh, me, and you have had numerous deep conversations. We're playing Madden together and stuff like that, And
Absolutely.
So basically took that concept and applied that with these kids, and at a time like all the POs are struggling to connect with them, the kids are calling us up saying, hey, well, we want a game, we want to talk, on game and talk. And now it's just about connection and reaching out to these kids, because, half the problem is growing up in this day and age with technology, the ability to create your own fun is decreasing amongst the younger generation. And so we're trying to help them create their own fun and learn to do that and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been really successful and really fun.
So cool.
I gotta go right now. I got a session at 4:00. Yeah.
Well, good deal, man. Well, hey, it was good catching up with you, Sonny. I know Raider Nation loves to hear from you, and we'll definitely shout those things out. Appreciate you doing the Lord's work, man, and staying connected during this time.
Hey, appreciate you having me on. Shout out to Bobby Wasabi. What's up, bro? Peace.
All right, there he is. There's Cousin Sonny. Always good to catch up with him. Raider Nation, appreciate you checking in with us. So Swaggo and I are going to do some fun stuff coming up this week for the draft. So you won't have an RFR proper this Wednesday. I mean, tonight we are, which is the 15th of April.
Yeah, the day before the draft, there will not be an RFR live, but we're going to blow it out the next day on the Mojo Pod Show Network.
And we're doing this show live that morning.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so tell
absolutely.
Raider Nation what we're doing. So this will be on the 23rd. This will be Wednesday the 23rd, the day of the draft.
Thursday the 23rd.
That's what I said. What did I say?
You said Wednesday.
I said Thursday.
Yeah, you said Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday
the 23rd, when you roll out of bed in the morning and you got your coffee. America, go to the YouTubes.
Yeah, the day's going to be started right because you can sip coffee with Murf and Swag Jeff and talk about how amped up we are for the draft.
Absolutely. We're going to go live on youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave. Go check us out there that morning. And we're going to talk we'll keep a real loose format. We're just going to kind of talk through kind of some players and, conceptually what we'd like to see the team do.
Yeah.
And maybe some, like I said, some of who our favorites might be throughout it. And really just kind of kick off the whole draft experience, because that's what we'd have done if we'd have been there. We'd have got up in the morning and, started walking around Vegas and started kind of got the ball rolling. So unfortunately, since we can't do that in real life, we're going to do it virtually. So please join us, youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave. That's MURFS Fan Cave. And then that night, Swaggo, tell them what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to be joining up with Mojo and Raider Dave from the Grimy Podcast. We're all going to be on the Mojo Pod Show YouTube network, and we are going to live draft it.
It's going to be so fun.
It's going to be so fun. We're going to be partaking in our favorite beverages and commenting on, how much we hate the first 11 picks. And then we're just going to be cheering and hollering for 12 and 19.
That's right. Our new favorite players.
Yeah, our two new favorite players.
Yeah, and you'll be already buying their jerseys, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
The only guy that's going to get jerseys as quick or quicker than the two guys getting drafted will be Swag Jeff.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, well, I might get it before since it's all going to be remote. They're not going to have their jersey. It'll probably be 5 to 7 business day shipping. I'm going to get mine expedited.
You're going to be hammering NFLshop.com.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah, you will. All right, well, appreciate you joining us for tonight's RFR Rundown. You can check us out every single week when we do this show. And appreciate Jeff joining us in. Appreciate Cousin Sonny. Swaggo, you got any parting words?
Go Raiders. Can't wait for the draft. Let's do this thing.